Welcome back. We saw in that spot there, we saw Dan Oweller with Sterling Financial Advisors. And it's always good to have you here today.
Nice,
and
very patriotic bow tie.
Thank you very much. This was provided by Michelle Mitzel to me. So
well, that's
you.
great. It's nice to remember our veterans.
Yes, definitely. It's in that ad you talk about. One of your main goals is to not have people lose their money. You'd
Correct.
rather have them sustain that, even if that particular year they haven't made much back from it. It's better to keep that there. Along those lines, what we're going to talk about today is Social Security. Mm-hmm. And as we know, some of those rules have changed a little bit. People can take distributions anywhere starting, I think it's like 62 and a half or something.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes people have to take it at that time. Other times people may choose to and put that money away and let it grow a little bit. There's all different ways to look at it, right?
Well, with the amount of baby boomers that are moving into to retirement, there seems to be a big push on what they call Social Security planning.
Right.
And when do I start taking Social Security? When do I have to start taking it? So all those things, there's a big, within the industry, there's a lot of Social Security planning seminars and telling people how to do that. There were some changes in 2016 that came about where we used to be able to, one spouse could apply for Social Security and then defer payments.
Right.
And then the spouse could get the spousal benefit.
Right.
Well, they've done away with that. And so there's been a little bit of changes in that regard. But I mentioned to you earlier that we have clients coming in all the time saying, Dan, when's the best time to take Social Security? And unfortunately, that's a very personal decision, because I have people that come in that started at age 62. Well, there's about a 40% decrease in your benefit if you start taking it 4 years earlier, but they need the money at that time.
Right.
And so it's not, other people start taking it at 62 because they don't think Social Security is going to be around in 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's not a right or wrong answer. It's just what is it that your particular situation calls for. And generally, when I sit down with people, the whole decision revolves around their monthly income and what they have coming in.
Right.
And the other assets that they have available to supplement that income. And so many times, if people have sufficient assets in IRA accounts or other accounts that they can utilize to supplement their income on a monthly basis, obviously, the longer they wait to start taking Social Security, the better off they're going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So we know that going from age 66 to age 70, that it goes up 8% every year.
Right, yeah.
Well, if we have investments that can supplement our income that's not earning 8%, then we probably ought to be withdrawing from those investments while we allow Social Security to accumulate, because it's very hard to get a guaranteed 8% return these days.
Yeah, it is. You mentioned about, you look at the whole picture, you look at their monthly income, and it can affect, there are people who may choose to take it early, but if they're gaining other income, it could also affect their income tax situation as well.
Yeah, I mean, the taxes on Social Security is dependent upon the income tax bracket you're in.
Right.
There's certain income levels that only 50% of your Social Security is included in your taxable income. If you go over that amount, then it's 85%.
Right.
So it can have a big impact depending upon what your needs are as to how much of your Social Security is going to be taxed, which, again, this big picture, we try to look at the optimized income that you need in order to get by. Some people can't get by on the amount that Social Security is taxed at anyway.
Right.
For a couple, I think it's like $45,000, for a year.
Right.
Anything over that, 85% of your Social Security is taxed.
Right.
So the amount, the income level that they're going to tax it at is fairly low, because for some reason the government wants taxes.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so planning your Social Security really isn't there's not a right or wrong as to when's the right time for me to start taking it. It's really, I had a lady in the other day that's still working, and she's like 60 years old, and she says, well, I plan on working till age 65, 66. And I said, well, let's look at your assets, and maybe it might make sense to draw down on your assets in order to have that Social Security build, because we're not earning 8% on that money.
Right.
So it's not a right or wrong. Other people that don't have the assets available to them but still need income should probably start taking it as soon as they can.
Exactly.
So these issues of when was the right time to take Social Security is all a personal issue with your own personal situation.
Exactly. And, you mentioned one of the changes this year about being able to defer your Social Security, and your spouse can take it, and or if you have a child that is under, I think, 18, that's something I was looking at.
Right.
Because, when I become 66, my daughter will be, whatever she is, about 16 at the time. And I was thinking, okay, this will be great.
She can get some benefit.
Yeah, and
right.
She still can, but then I'll have to start drawing as well. So I'll have to look at that when that time comes around and see, okay, is it a benefit to get this extra income coming in at this moment in time and pay a little taxes on my own? It's
the unfortunate thing is that Social Security does need to have some changes.
Right, it does.
And those of us that are close to receiving Social Security don't like the changes, but in the long run, it's going to prop up the Social Security system.
Right, exactly.
I would assume that it's somewhere down the line. I can't guarantee this because I don't know who's going to get into office in the election, but it might draw. I know that Donald Trump talks about a need-based Social Security system. If you're making lots, he says, I don't need Social Security,
Right.
So it might get to a point where it's based on needs-based, and how much Social Security you're going to get, I don't know. But these changes are trying to prop up the Social Security. They say it's supposed to run out in 2034.
Right.
I'm not sure that's going to happen because I doubt that the government's going to allow that to happen. But there are going to be changes down the road. But I think most of those changes will either be based on needs-based, or it's going to be affecting our children a lot more.
Exactly.
When we were growing up, it used to be age 65 that you qualified for Social Security. Baby boomers now it's 66. Those born before 1955, it's now 67.
Right.
And so that keeps moving up and up to try to help in this gap that we have in Social Security and the entitlements that people have paid into this system are expecting.
Exactly. And we should say that, as maybe some people don't know this, that if you do start to take it early, it's not as that, okay, now you hit 66, now it's going to go up to that
Correct.
level, now you hit 70. It doesn't.
And it used to be that you could start at age 62.
Right.
Okay. Take it to age 70. Okay. Pay back all that money, and then get the
really?
age 70 benefit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it was a way to get 8% on your money, and then just pay back the money that you had taken.
Yeah.
So they've done away with that as well.
Right.
So you can't just have money for a period of time, then pay it back, and then get the higher benefit.
Interesting.
So there's been a lot of changes to try to prop this benefit up to us, which I think needs to take place. But for those that were counting on it, it's tough when they make these changes. But overall, it's probably a good thing as they try to get a better foundation for the system.
Exactly. So again, with everything, with your income or what you have set aside, you have to look at the whole picture and see how it's going to work
I think you mentioned in the beginning, our goals isn't to make them wealthy, isn't to make our clients wealthy, just to make sure that their money is there when they need it. Most of the time, people have worked hard all of their life to accumulate the assets they have, and we need to, at this stage in their lives, kind of move from the accumulation phase into the protection phase. Now, that's often difficult for people because they feel like they're going to run out of money.
Exactly.
But if we can sit and do a kind of projection based upon certain assumptions, we can kind of show them exactly what their retirement income is going to look like over the next 25, 30 years, and it gives them a better idea of what I call sleepability at night. You can put your head down on the pillow at night knowing that, I've made some changes that's going to secure my income a little bit later for us.
I think that's, to me anyway, that's the most important thing.
Well, depending upon the people that you work with,
But this is a good point. Talking with Dan, that when it comes to your Social Security, speaking with someone like Dan, in sitting down with them and kind of looking at the overall picture.
I'm not the expert, but I've got a handle on.
You got a good handle on it.
Right.
And it can be very confusing.
Sure.
It really is. You have this tempting thing in front of you here. Do you want to take it now or do you want to take it later?
Well, and like I said, I have people that have worked all their life, and actually the transition into retirement is a very psychologically hard thing for them.
Right.
And I've been making money, and now all of a sudden I don't make money anymore,
right.
and I'm dependent upon those assets that I have. You've got to protect that money, or it could really affect you in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. Always good to see you.
Well, have a happy holiday. And,
I will.
And it's great to honor our veterans.
Yes, it definitely is. And, if you want to speak with Dan or anyone else there at Sterling Financial Advisors, there's the number on the screen, 949-859-8900, sterlingfa.com. And you can always email Dan at dan@sterlingfa.com and,
sure.
and ask him a question. He can help you out. He welcomes you just to come by, make an appointment for a free consultation, sit down and see how they can possibly help you strategize your income over the next several years. So
sure.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
All right.
Thanks,
you take
Ken.
care.
All right.
And we'll be right back. Yeah, I noticed this.
We're a family business. I have my wife, my 2 sons that work in the business with me. So we really actually are a family-run business. We call them our extended family. We do it from the moment they walk into the office. But we actually have personal relationships and friendships with our clients.
They're not just a client, they are part of our friends and family.
That's what we do here at Sterling Financial Advisors. We help people get peace of mind and quality of life in retirement.